Barinder, Killa B Singh on the show today, and I'll let Barinder introduce himself, and then we'll get right into your questions.
Thank you, Harbir. Thank you for having me on. What do you want to know? My name is Brenda Singh, former British Commonwealth European Kickboxing champion. And now I run my own gym in Leicester called Respect Fitness, Team Respect. And we're working with a lot of young people, helping the youth stay off the street and stay away from crime.
Firstly, how did you get into kind of kickboxing, Muay Thai?
So at the age of 8, I grew up in an area called Belmont Lees, and in them days, there's a lot of racism around. So we got bullied and picked on a lot. I mean, all the Asians in the school, you know, where I can remember being year 7, year 8, year 9, we all just hung around together because we had to be stronger in numbers, if you like. And I think my mum was like, this when I was like young 8, took me to a boxing gym. And then from there, I was boxing, and then I went to a kickboxing gym. I think that was when I was 10. So I was always boxing, kickboxing. I was always in and out of the gym. So that's kind of the reason I got started, really, because of the bullying.
And I think there's a lot that people can resonate with there, especially with our parents' generation. You know, if they come from India or wherever, if they come from a different country and they're here and they're a minority group, they probably experience some racism. And you know, a lot of people probably didn't stand up for themselves. Some people did. Did you find that there was did it translate the boxing and kickboxing? Did that help you on the street? Did it help?
Most definitely. And people are going to think about this differently. What kickboxing and boxing did for me was to give me a lot of confidence. I'm not a street fighter. I've not had a street fight in years. It's not something I do. When you train this sport and you're up against other peers your own age, you're getting beat up in the ring, you know, you're getting better, you're improving, you're getting better, you see you're getting your skills going, and you start to realize it won't be fair for me to be having a fight with someone on the street. So it gave me the confidence to be able to talk myself out of a lot of situations. There's been times when I've been, especially by later on in my career, when I was doing really well, and I've been in town, and people might, you know, start, the first thing I said, excuse me, mate. I say, how much? And they say, what do you mean how much? I said, well, I can't fight you for free. What are you going to pay me? And they usually laugh that off, and that usually was, you know, the icebreaker, if you like.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I went to school with this girl, and her boyfriend was like a British champion as well. And I think he was like 55 kgs or something. And she didn't actually know he fought, but he'd go on the street and he, you know, some people would start heckling them or saying stuff to them, and he would stand up to them and she'd think, well, you're tiny. How you stand up these big guys? But it's interesting how it's not just the skills that it gives you, but also that kind of comfort in your own skin, which I think
that's right
for kids, you know, brown skin kids, anybody who's potentially going to be one of the only kind in their school, in their environment. So that's really valuable. And with the kids that you teach, have you found it's impacted them? Have you seen people change over the time that they've been training with you?
I've trained kids who've been bullied. I've trained the bullies that have bullied the kids that have been bullied. Also people with really good backgrounds, people who suffered with bad backgrounds. And it's all about just giving them a place to belong, really. And I always say, you know, so you see on my t-shirt says team respect. As soon as you enter that gym, you put this t-shirt, you're a part of my team. And we all look after each other. I mean, I live in an area called Oadby in Leicester. And a lot of the kids are from around it, so they've got a lot of them go to the same school. And they've been taught from very young to look after each other in the schools. If you see one kid getting bullied, you need to step in, intervene, stop that from happening. I'm not saying go beat those kids up, because I don't want that, you know, but at least look after each other.
That's interesting. We had this think tank in Coventry a little while back, and there were probably people from your gym there. And they showed videos of Singhs getting their butt get pulled off and getting beaten up. And one of the learning points out of that were all of the kids were by themselves. So it was, you know, these little boys walking home by themselves, and a group of guys would come up to them. And we thought, you know, even if that person had somebody else to walk home with, they would be less likely to have, you know, a group of people come and attack them. It's just that pack mentality where people see somebody, they look vulnerable, they look like a target, and then they...
School's rough, man. School is rough, you know, because kids, you know, it's not like, you know, I don't see them as bad kids. There's no bad kids. They just find themselves. You know, I was once bullied. I was also bullied as a child, you know. But I think it's all part of growing up. But I think I realized that, especially when I was about 16, 17, after my first fight, I actually, believe this or not, I actually went to see, there was 4 guys that stuck out in my mind that I had upset at school. And I seen them and I went to ask for forgiveness and apologize because it was wrong. But, you know, it took me a bit of growing up to realize that.
Yeah, that's true. So I watched the Nigel Benn fight on YouTube.
Yeah.
How's that as an experience? What was that like?
That was probably the best experience of my life. I got a phone call one day and I'd more or less retired from kickboxing then. And it's Top Dog Promotions, a guy called Scott Lansdowne, used to be a pretty good boxer himself back in there. And he says, B, you sitting down? I said, no, you go sit down. I says, why? I says, what? I said, yeah, I'm sitting down, standing there walking out, thinking, what's he going to say to me? He goes, do you want to get in the ring with Nigel Benn? I said, yeah, what, is he going to train me? He says, nah, 3-round exhibition fight. I said, what? And then I sat down. I said, what? 3-round exhibition with who? Nigel Benn. And I remember on the day, me, my wife, my brother, my sister, my mom, we went to go see Nigel Benn before we were going to get in the ring. And he looked at me and goes, you're Killa B. He goes, you know, if you put it on me, the whole Dark Destroyer is going to come out. I looked at him, I said, you're Nigel Benn. Me and my mom used to watch you on ITV Fight Night. I was like, stunned, you know, starstruck, if you like. And I remember getting in the ring with him, and we were obviously just an exhibition bout. I think he did hurt me in the first or second round. I remember the third round, because I don't know if you watch the video, I don't know if you can tell or not, I'm not really letting my shots go.
Yeah, you can tell you're not trying to hit him hard.
No, because I was that starstruck. And even at one point in the ring, because I was hitting him to the body, and he goes, come on. I goes, no. And I just carried on hitting him to the body. I just had that. It was, I don't know if you want to call it. It was just I was starstruck. And just had a lot of respect for him, and it was just a great experience to enter the ring with that guy, man. What a guy as well. Really, really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. The same year, actually, I was quite lucky to have dinner with Mike Tyson.
Wow.
That was surreal. What another nice, beautiful soul he is. I know people see things on the media, but he's actually a really nice guy, believe it or not.
So how did that come about? What was that about?
At that time, my mama, he says, oh, do you wanna meet Mike Tyson? I was like, you what? Of course I want to meet Mike Tyson. He was like, I'm gonna get you a table for this event, for you and your mates, 10 of you. I said, yeah, because I said, you going? He says, I said, where are you sitting? He goes, I'm sitting with Mike. I said, forget my mates. I'm sitting with you. So, and then a friend of his, I don't know, Steve Walsh used to play for Leicester City Football Club. So he organised the event. And my uncle's quite good friends with him. So then, yeah, I sat with him, and that was surreal, man. It took me like 5-10 minutes to pick up the courage to even ask him a question. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, Mike, what's it like having tigers? That was the first question. I didn't know what else to ask him. And he was telling me, he goes, man, you know, I got sued. One of my tigers, he bit the next door neighbor's arm off, and I had to pay out a lot of money. He goes, it was a headache and this, that, and the other. And then obviously we got into different conversations, this, that, the other. And I remember asking him to sign. I had a poster signed by Frank Bruno, which had him fighting on the poster. I asked him to sign. He said, look, I can't sign anything. I said, can you sign his glove? He said, I can't sign anything. And at that time, I didn't have very much money. It was like you had to pay like £500-600 for a signed boxing glove. So I was a bit, okay, whatever. And at the end of the event, I mean, because the same managers that were managing for that event were the same people that were managing Nigel Benn for my boxing event. So he talked a lot about that with me as well. And then afterwards, when I was leaving, the promoter called and grabbed me, took me to the side, says, Mike Tyson sent me this. And a signed boxing glove from Tyson.
Wow.
So it was really nice. It was really, really nice. Really nice.
That's really kind of him, because he didn't have to go out of his way.
He didn't have to do that. You know.
And I saw a picture of you with Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah. That was brilliant. Although I had dinner with him up in Glasgow. Roy Jones and Joe Calzaghe, and the late Enzo Calzaghe as well.
Oh.
That was fun. I think I upset Roy a bit. And then he got a bit more. He didn't really want to speak to me after. I only asked him about, fighting Nigel Benn and Eubank and Steve Collins, and then he didn't really want to talk about much after that. I don't think he liked the questions I was asking him.
I watched the roundtable talks with all of them together. Kazan,
yeah,
and Jones Jnr. That was.
It was on Sky Sports, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good. So I guess with a lot of these legends, there's kind of too late. With like Muhammad Ali, once they're gone, you don't really have the benefit. Like some people believe, you get an energy from a person when you've met the person, when you shook their hand. They kind of transfer some of that energy that they have onto a person. And with some of these legends that have gone now, you can't have that. But with Mike Tyson, you Roy Jones. I wanted to talk about with the gym and obviously having a gym around COVID, and me personally, I have never missed training so much in my entire life. And I was going downhill. I was feeling down. I was training at home every day and going for runs, but it's a different experience when you're training with someone. If you're doing kind of then there is just going for a run or doing.
I think it was hard for a lot of people. Even it was very hard for myself. And if I'm honest with you, for the first, when did we go into lockdown? March 20th on my birthday.
Wow.
And I remember shutting the gym. I thought we'll only be shut for a couple of weeks and we'll be back on. But then it went on and on and on. And I found myself with nothing to do. So I started drinking, if I'm honest. I think I started drinking. It was just like 3-4 times a week. Then it's got 5 times a week. It was just becoming a bad routine. Then I think it was in July, I decided to stop. Because, just destroying my body. Instead of doing the opposite, what we've been doing, I was just destroying my body. Then what we started doing a few sessions in the park. So not a lot of students, but anybody that wanted to come, I just used to put it out there. We'd be running and we'll train in the park.
I had a massive smile on my face and she was like, "Why are you so happy?" I said, "Oh, your training's back on. I feel so much better." So that's something that I thought we should touch on. Let's get right into kind of like something that we were talking about before, which is I told you about my brother. He had a drinking problem. He had some issues, and within the kind of Punjabi community, I think every family has lost somebody or they know somebody
due to drink
who's been impacted by drink. And you had a very small period. You had 3 months, right, where you but somehow you were able to snap out of it and get back on the training.
I had a worse time than that before. I think I told you about that.
So yeah, do you mind kind of giving us?
I can talk to you about that. Yeah. So about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 5 or 6, 7 years ago, something like that. It's gone out of my mind now. The past, tried leaving the past, but I don't mind talking about it. I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I say I was addicted to drugs. No, let me take that back because I see things differently now. I had a bad habit. I found myself in places where I didn't want to be, but I was there. Why? I don't know. Maybe I was just looking, like I said to you before, when a fighter finishes, I don't know what else to do. So you look for a buzz, you look for excitement. Unfortunately, that trail took me to prison, which is actually, like I said to you before, I always turn a negative into a positive, which is actually probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave me time to think and sort myself out, and I came out a much, much better person, a much better man.
So I know a few kind of pro athletes who have mentioned, I know somebody not too far from you actually, Jet Singh, the guy who committed suicide. He was a wrestler. He was in the Olympic team for
yeah, he's related to my family. He's her first cousin.
Yeah, so and one of the guys who was in his team, he was the guy I used to train with, Leon Rattigan. He was one of the coaches at the wrestling club here, and he said that you're a pro athlete. The kind of whole world wants to know you. You're popular, and then you retire, and then all of a sudden, it all stops. No one wants to know you. And the other thing is that the buzz you used to get, the kind of adrenaline rush you used to get from competing, is now gone. And I've noticed this with I've read about it in soldiers as well. They have the same thing. They go out to deployment and they have this nothing in civilian life matches what they experience there. So they end up on alcohol or drugs.
It's trying to keep up with your ego. That's what it is. That's what it is. You know, you're still trying to be out there in the limelight. But then you're doing something that would never brought you the limelight. You understand what I'm trying to say? But it's almost like when you're around these people, you're still that. I had this conversation with Mike Tyson as well. He's still like, he's that kid. I'm nothing like that Mike Tyson. He's a complete different level. But it's, you know, it's just like you're still the king of the party type thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Everyone's still on you. Yeah. Everyone's excited to see you. But then you just realize, oh, what are you doing with yourself? And you know what? It's very hard to snap some people to snap out of that. And I'll tell you what, I've got a good friend, Amit Bedan. Call him Magic Amit. A lot of people know him. He's a magician, but he's also a hypnotist. And I see him on a monthly basis, just to keep my head straight. Keep my head straight. I've got 2 kids now. Alcohol don't interest me not one bit whatsoever. Last time I had a drink was 16 weeks ago. Wow. You know, but it's too easy. You know what it is? We're Punjabi as well, innit? Right? So we socialize. You know, our doors are like our houses are like train stations. Someone knocks on, they comes in, people go in and out all the time. You're always constantly entertaining people. And our culture almost dictates you entertain Bande with Sharab. We don't have to do that. I've had friends over recently, and I say, you know, do you fancy a drink? I've got water, I've got juice, I've got Coke. What do you want? There's no alcohol in this house. We don't have to entertain each other like that. Do you know when you start? We know how bad it is in our culture. I was on the BBC Radio Asian Network about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. We were talking about drink and drugs and things like that. And we're just talking about the difference between alcohol and drugs within our culture. Alcohol's openly talked about. Yeah?
Yeah, normal. And,
you know, if someone takes drugs, it's pushed under the carpet. That one thing there, nobody gets any help with. No one really, I mean, I suppose you do get a little bit of help with alcohol, but you don't really. You get told, nah, B, stop. What are you doing? One thing I learned, and somebody, one of my old bosses from years ago, and he said this about my dad, because my dad died an alcoholic. And he said to me, he goes, you know what, son, sometimes it's hard. He goes, what they need is love. He goes, but what we do, without realizing, we're pushing them away even more. You know, because you're just constantly telling them off, ain't you? You know, unfortunately, the boss who told me that he passed away was doing the same thing.
How did you do that? Was it having?
I'll tell you how I did it, because you know my biggest fear was becoming an alcoholic like my dad. You know, I got 2 baby girls now. I don't want, you know, and I remember coming home drunk one time last year, and I won't go near my daughter if I've had a drink. I need to go upstairs, have a shower first. I don't be stinking, because I remember the smell from dad. And I remember I said, 1 minute, baby, and I ran, and I saw her face drop. I said, nah, I ain't doing that to my kids. No way. There's enough to shock me, because I've been there and seen it all with my dad. I don't want to be that dad. But you know, sometimes we're not like again in our culture, we get dragged back in and out. But this time I'm out, man.
How do you deal with your network? Probably is similar or the same. How do you deal with people being like, oh yeah, you're too good for us now, you know, you can't?
Nah, no one ever says that to me. To be fair, a lot of people are proud that I'm not drinking. You know, they all wish that they always say, oh, I wish I could be like you. Well, you can. just make the decision, innit? You got kids, you got family, make the decision. Up to you. Life's too short, man. You know, I never used to drink anyway. I didn't really start drinking until I finished fighting, until when I was like 27, 28, you know. Wow. And then I drank and partied and I did all the things that my friends did at, like, I don't know, university time or whatever, when they were out going up. They were still doing it then, and they're still doing it now. You know, I've done it literally 9-10 years. Wow. Not saying I'm alcoholic for 9-10 years, but, you know, going out.
Yeah, I get
now, when I go out, I go out anywhere with the boys. I'm happy to sit there with a bottle of water. I'm happy to be the driver. Because I know I'm going to get up fresh tomorrow morning, get up with my kids. before my kids get up, I'm out running or I'm out training, whatever it is I'm doing. Then I come home to the kids. Then I go open the gym for them to do some lessons. Then I train again. Then I come home for the kids. Then I go back. I might do one more session, 2 to 3 sessions a day, and then I go and teach a few more classes and I come back. And then nothing good happens after 9 o'clock anyway, so I go to bed.
You mentioned prison being the best thing that ever happened to you. Like, what was that experience like? And like, what were the key learning points that you took from that? Because, you know, again, now it's a bit of a badge of honor, isn't it? If someone went to prison, it's like, oh yeah, they've got some street cred. People are trying to get into prison in some cases.
Prison's a joke, man. If people out there think they want to go to prison, you must be mad. Why you want to lose your life out here for? There's so much out here you could be doing, but it was good for me at the time because what I was doing out here was no good for me. I need that time to reflect and get myself back in shape. And I trained every day in there, just trained and trained and trained and trained. Kept myself to myself. There's a couple of things I used to hang around with, and we all used to just train together, just get on with it. You know, you go to your prayers, Punjabi, whatever it is, you know, Sikh prayers, sorry, Sikh prayers. You know, we used to hang out there and chill and talk. Just reflect on what the hell are you doing with your life. You know what I mean? And the thing is, I learned my lesson. Unfortunately, everyone does. I wish they did because, you know, as soon as I came out there, don't want nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah,
just happy.
That's another like really complex topic because the whole reform system, often it doesn't reform people, right? Like
No, it doesn't.
You had a good experience in the sense that you met good people. You were training. You really kind of used it as a bit of a training camp. But
yeah,
with a lot of people, it seems to criminalize them. And
even more, yeah. You know, you go in there, the people are, you know, still doing what they're doing in there, getting themselves into trouble and people fighting. And you know, there's an ambulance there every week. There's one. I don't being around, but there's 1 or 2 deaths every week. Every week. Whether it's suicide, whether it's drug overdose, whether someone got killed. So what you doing, man? But you know what it is? This is the most powerful thing we have. Whatever we want, we can get. I say that to the kids all the time. Whatever you want, but you have to really want it and you've got to be 100% dedicated to it. And if I wanted to hang around with a bad crowd in prison, mentally, and be that, you know, that street dog guy, that's where I would have been. Getting myself in trouble. But my brain told me. I remember actually the first night when I was inside and my head hit the pillow, I took a deep breath. I said, wow, I can relax now. Because I knew there's no madness around me. This is my time to heal now. Or I can go the other way. I chose to heal. You choose what you want to do, isn't it? I chose to heal. I chose to be that better. But I don't want who wants to who wants to wake up feeling groggy? Who wants to be watching over their shoulder all the time? It's just you just want to be happy, innit?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because whenever you watch a movie, it looks like the drug dealers and the gangsters are the ones like with the best lives. But I was watching The Real Narcos, this series on Netflix, and the guy in there, he's an ex-SAS guy, and he goes and interviews all of these like real kind of drug lords and the much lower levels of people producing the drugs and kind of transporting it. And they said exactly what you said. They said this isn't anything glamorous. They said every day I live in fear because I don't know what point the police are going to come or someone else is going to shoot me in. And
what's so glamorous about that? You know what we are not brought up. I said we are conditioned to chase the money. Let me tell you something. Everyone who's listening out there, I've been to the bottom with nothing. I'm still being happy. I've been up there and had money, still being happy. But you know what? What's the most happiest time of my life is now when I'm not chasing anything, but I'm so happy and I know what I want. As long as I'm happy, do you believe in the law of attraction?
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in that. As long as I'm happy and I'm happy to help other people achieve their dreams, my dreams will just come. That's how it works.
You know, like the life you were living, you know, some people call it the high life. You know, there's highs, right? Even if they're drug induced, there's massive kind of dopamine rushes. And then the life, like with, you know, people I've spoken to, found it hard finding pleasure in the mundane things like spending time. Sometimes he found it hard just finding pleasure, spending time with his daughter, and just little things that should bring us joy. Because he was like, you know, kind of buzzing a lot of the time, he found it difficult to have a normal life.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that, or was it just mind over matter?
Okay, you know when you're a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts, they're all or nothing type of people. I'm an all or nothing type of guy. I'm either training or at that time I'm partying. I choose training, best buzz ever. I have to train twice a day just for my mental health, to keep me positive, to keep me alive. You know, that's how I deal with it. But not everyone's. But the sport's been it's been in my life since I was 8 years old. So that's a great escape for me. The only thing I can say to people out there, you know, if you're struggling with drugs and alcohol, one, seek help. There's plenty of people out there that can help you. There's drug helplines, there's counseling. There's a lot of people in the same situation as you that are fighting, trying to get out of it. What happens, we get trapped in that cage and we think we're never going to get out because you're always looking for the next hit. You're looking for the next hit. You're looking for the next hit. But that hit only lasts so long. It lasts you that night. The next day you feel like, without me swearing, you feel terrible. Feel terrible. And it goes back to my point, who wants to feel terrible? We all want to be happy, no? But we are all responsible for our own happiness. We've got to make ourselves happy. If we can make ourselves happy, then you can pass that energy on and on and on and help other people. And I get a lot of joy, and a lot of joy and a lot of happiness out of helping others. I always have. I remember my mom asked me when I was a kid, she goes, "What are you going to be when you're older?" I said, "I'm going to change the world. I want to help as many people as I can." You know, and I think I'm doing that. Whoever it be, you know, people in the gym, homeless people, people who ain't got nothing, people who got something, people with mental health, people just want to chat, people who need someone shoulder to cry on, whatever.
All right, this has been a lot more than I expected, to be honest. It's given me a lot of food for thought, and I think, you know, everyone has their demons, everyone has their kind of things, the skeletons in the closet, and I appreciate you sharing.
That's another thing. Sorry, can I just say one thing? I just said that, you know, if you keep your skeleton in the closet, you're going to hold on to it, and that bad energy is going to stay with you. Be an open book. I've told you, I've had the same conversation about my whole life on BBC. They come into the gym and talk about my prison life, drugs, everything. I've done the same thing on radio. I'm doing the same thing with you. Don't hold it in. You can't move on with holding something. Let it go. Share your experiences. Help other people learn. And then you can move forward.
That's really powerful. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for your time. It really means a lot.
Thank you for your time, brother.
Where can people go to train with you? Where can people go to find out more about you?
Check out our website, www.respectfitnessuk.com, or our Instagram page, Respect Fitness UK. Our gym's based in Leicester, Oadby, Kenilworth Drive, if you know, opposite the Gurdwara, or kind of opposite the Gurdwara, just up the road. Everyone's welcome. Find us on, my number's on the internet, just find me. We'll help anybody.
I can imagine this is gonna inspire a lot of people to get into training, because, you know, it's been such a powerful tool in your life, and I will come there as well. I'll come and visit.
You are more than welcome. But if anyone's struggling out there, even if you're struggling with drugs, don't be afraid to drop me a message. If I can help you, I will help you. I can't stop you. I can only talk to you and tell you about my experiences, and I'm happy to share my experiences with you. Anybody and everybody from all walks of life, I will help anybody.